The Warhammer Skulls event is currently ongoing, and Games Workshop sent me a little care package with some goodies. I'll be posting some pictures on my community tab and in my Discord of some things I got. They also sent me a bunch of game keys, which means I get to announce another ladder competition giveaway. Again, details on Discord. I'll probably put up a dedicated video for that as well, and we're also going to be announcing a Land Battles with Caps tournament with a pretty substantial prize pool towards the end of the month. Again, dedicated announcements will be coming for all of those. Be sure to stay tuned for all that. Again, eyes here on the community tab, here on the channel, or on Discord. You'll see lots of stuff all around. But anyway, yeah, for today, we've got this replay featuring two of the factions that I would consider, at this point, most in need of updates. You could consider perhaps vampire counts. They also haven't had an update in quite some time. Bretonnia maybe as well. But Norsca, to be honest, is the most kind of forgotten and unloved faction. And Tomb Kings also, while they could use some just straight up new content, also need some significant reworks as well. But let's get into this battle and talk about what's in front of us. Ark in the Black, competitive as ever, and Bone Giant here, along with some Sepulchral Stalkers. I'm not sure if they benefited from the spread shot change, if they like target a whole infantry unit rather than overshooting their shots in one part of the unit. We'll have to watch for that, but 4 carrion up in the sky to provide some flexibility. We've got some Skeleton Warriors and Nehekara Warriors for that sweet anti-infantry, being able to cut through Marauders much more efficiently. To oppose them, Marauder Champions on the opposite side, quite a bit more elite than the regular Marauders, who we do have a couple of on the flanks. Shaman Sorcerer of Fire currently getting blasted by the Bone Giant there, and Wulfric on horseback with a Werekin, lots more Skin Wolves, and Beast of Tashnar as well. So let's get things rolling. See these two factions clash in this new day and age. I am curious to see. The Sepulchral Stalkers have always been solid, but a nice lore of boats wasn't 100% perfectly placed down the line, a little bit off on the angle. Does some pretty good damage still to those Nehekara Warriors. And Wulfric and the Bone Giant, well, Wulfric charging the Bone Giant along with the Werekin here. Skin Wolves and Beast of Tashnar also just overloading here in the center. A few of them try and catch out this Sepulchral Stalker on the flank here with that nice burning head. Cutting down a Skeleton Warrior. A little bit late with the follow-up of the Marauders, but they are going to be blocked somewhat by these Skeleton Warriors. You can see even the Carrion perhaps rushing in here, maybe getting ready for a rear charge. But yeah, this Nehekara Warrior in particular gets pretty well wrecked. Bone Giant also taking pretty substantial damage, is going to pull back. Sepulchral Stalkers move in. Okay, so let's watch up close and see. We won't see the effect on health, but I mean, they are shooting monstrous infantry. It still looks like they're targeting individual models pretty substantially, but again, hard to tell. They're also targeting single entities in this case. Shaman Sorcerer of Fire just running away. Yeah, you can see where the Skin Wolves are able to get 2v1 engagements favorably against Sepulchral Stalkers. They do quite well, but they're more in a 1v1 here, like with Wulfric and the Skin Wolves kind of over-pursuing. They've got Skeleton Spears opposing them. Arcan's also able to pull up more Skeleton Warriors for a summon here. Lots of skeleton bodies to help the Sepulchral Stalkers. In this case, it's going to be a very different scenario. Definitely showcases the value of supporting your units quite clearly. Bone Giant continuing to unleash some shots. Try saying that one 5 times fast. Yeah, despite Wulfric fighting him in melee here, Skin Wolf also punches through, but serious terror route taking hold of the Skin Wolves here in the center. Granted, there's still plenty of champs. Champs are quite solid in terms of infantry, and can probably beat the Sepulchral Stalkers in melee due to their sort of anti-large focus. But Sepulchral Stalkers still also have plenty of ammunition left, and despite not being crazy fast, are certainly faster than champs. So we'll have to see how things play for them, if they can perhaps weather the storm here. But Norsca definitely having some serious leadership issues. That's bad luck. Beast of Tashnar terror routing to, I guess, the Bone Giant, even though they're some distance away. Definitely some bad luck there, but Arcan making sure to shatter the Shaman Sorcerer. And the Skin Wolf Werekin also kind of getting surrounded and circle beaten by the anti-large Eyes of the Desert. They also have magic attacks, which means the physical resistance Skin Wolves and the Enraged trait, right, isn't going to matter too much. Definitely nice to have. A lot of people don't think about Norsca as a physical resist faction, but in fact, They are one of the factions that has pretty much universal access to it if you count the Enrage trait, right? On all Norscan units. All the skin wolves have base physical resistance, right? So, really nice to have that little bit of magic damage against those key units. But let's see here. Champs trying to continue pushing through. They do manage to crumble away a number of units, but Wolfric getting caught out here by the Sepulchral Stalkers, gets rear charged by Arcan. Bone Giant just commits to a melee engagement. We're going to see Hunter of Champions dropped on Arcan there, significantly debuffing him. And some Skin Wolves do move in for support, so maybe Wolfric can weather this. He does get a little bit of bad RNG, gets hit a couple of times here. Libra Mortis also being popped, speaking of physical resistance. But, yeah, Wolfric getting hit a few times there, gets terrified away. Again, a little bit of bad luck for Norsca, but that's just how the game goes sometimes. Thing about fleeing from a Bone Giant and Arcan, I guess both, is they can hurt you from a distance. I see a little Spirit Leech and shot. Sail wide there. Werkin moving in to try and form up with Wolfric. That Laura Boats, once again, gets some contact. Not the best in the world, but at least the champs are starting to get through at this point. They'll provide a pretty sturdy kind of backbone for Norsca to try and mount a comeback here. The problem is if Wolfric goes down, that is going to cause leadership issues. The champions will be much more likely to want to tear a route. If the Bone Giant can stay alive, that is. But those shots missing for the most part. Wolfric able to kind of cut and dodge, but Arcan himself coming through. Not a pushover by any means in terms of the combat stats. The Skin Wolf Werkin's going to kind of threaten him, push him back, then eats lots of shots from the Sepulchral Stalkers for his troubles. A little Spirit Leech there will be enough to actually finish him off. Looks like he is going to rout here. Wolfric, or Arcan rather, moving in for the kill, while Wolfric again gets terrible RNG against the Bone Giant there, getting hit in the back by the Nehekar Warriors. So despite the champs doing their best to push on through, one unit of champs just keeping the chase up on those Sepulchral Stalkers. Again, likely to just win that engagement outright in a grind. Bone Giant looks like he's finally crumbling. Wolfric finally getting proper RNG. Kind of odds equalizing, if you will. So Norsca definitely not out of this yet, although things are looking fairly grim. Yeah, this champ over here. Okay, let's see. They're able to... they kind of do... It's still not amazing anti-infantry damage. They do seem to target across the unit a little bit better, perhaps, than before. Hard to say for certain there. Perhaps we'll get some more views here as these Eyes of the Desert continue kind of skirmishing and kiting those Marauders. But let's see. Norsca definitely forming up quite a bit of troops there. Wolfric desperately trying to stay alive. At this point, Arcan should be able to just finish him off with Spirit Leeches. So yeah, not really a lot of reason to commit to an engagement there and take unnecessary damage, to be honest. With Arcan, although he does need to stay in melee to recharge those summons. Just he popped another one there to provide some more Skeleton Warriors, and with the Spirit Leech, it's enough to terrify away Wolfric once more. And that's likely to be his demise. I mean, the Bone Giant is going to crumble in the next, like, 10 seconds. But, yep, there that goes. The terror won't be a factor anymore, but Wolfric's down about 400 HP. Arcan should be able to chase him off, no problem. And if Carrion also had been just masterful in chasing routing units. As the Desert continuing to kite as well. They have poison on their missile attacks. Is that universal? No. Okay, the regular ones do not. They will not apply that slow effect, but you can see over time that they've been able to kind of just skirmish down those Marauder champions. Only about 1,000 damage value so far, but still, the other ones should have quite a bit more. Yeah, getting some good volleys on some high value targets there, as we saw. Spirit Leech finish off Wolfric, and that should spell the end. Yeah, that leadership dagger to all these units across, you can see starting to waver and wanting to rout, and that will cascade to the end of Norsca. And on their home turf, Tomb King's able to win it. Absolutely gorgeous. Big thanks to Calamity for sending that one in. That was a fun game for sure. Two somewhat unloved factions, so unloved certainly by Creative Assembly, some would argue, but hopefully we'll see some updates at some point in the future. Who knows? I think most likely Slaanesh is next, to which, if there's a Monogods faction that needs updates, it's certainly Slaanesh. That's a topic for another video, but yeah, as for Tomb Kings here, we're able to perform quite well. Eyes of the Desert and Sepulchral Stalkers in general, decent pick overall in this matchup. The Tomb King's constructs are generally not amazing, but the ranged ones definitely can get the best value overall, and protecting something like the Shop de Grebos can be tricky at times against Norsca. Certainly Foreskin Wolves would have been threatening, whereas the Sepulchral Stalkers can defend themselves fairly well, and again, under the right circumstances, get some nasty volleys and just clean up a lot of these high-value units. Or Norsca, yeah, not much ends up paying for itself, unfortunately for them, although some of the Skin Wolves do a pretty decent job. They're able to get one of the Sepulchral Stalkers at least from the flanks. It's just then Champs didn't quite have enough left. They probably could have grinded it out, to be honest. The leadership just suffered too much with the loss of all these characters and lost the balance of power. But anyway, fun game for sure. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.